Be ready for the Good evening, everyone. My name is Portia Seals, Executive Director for Caring for Kids, and I would like to welcome you all to our Let's Get Ready church rally. This is a time for us to engage our heads, our hearts, in what is coming up for the new school year. We are so excited to be joined by both faith leaders in the community as well as district leaders in our various school districts. And at this time, I would like to introduce Pastor Emmanuel Cleaver III, who will be opening us in prayer. Dr. Cleaver, so glad to have you this evening.
Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it. So let us in an attitude of prayer. Loving, holy, and mighty God, we give you thanks for this day. And we thank you for allowing us to gather on this call this evening. We're truly grateful for the partnering of faith communities with schools. And eternal God, we ask that you let our work be for the good of our children. Let it be for the benefit of the community. Let it be for the good of the city and your world. In all that we do, we seek your wisdom, because we know that with you, we can accomplish all things. So we look to you for guidance. We look to you for strength. And mighty God, we acknowledge that it is truly a joy. It is a blessing when groups come together on one accord to inspire hope and prepare children to impact their world. So bless our efforts. And when we succeed in this magnificent partnership, mighty God, we will give you all the glory, because we know that all good things truly do come from you. So we give you thanks in advance for a victorious effort. It is in the mighty and matchless name of Jesus that we pray. Amen.
And of course, I was muted. Thank you so much for that beautiful prayer. We're so glad to have Pastor Cleaver here. They partner with two schools, both in KCPS and in Hickman Mill School District, doing some great work there. As we get started tonight, we wanted to, for our visitors, those who are here to learn about caring for kids and how to possibly partner with the school. Wanted to start by talking about, just for a moment, who Caring for Kids is. Our vision is to see all children have hope and reach their highest potential. We do this by mobilizing community organizations in partnership with schools to inspire hope and prepare children to impact their world. We are a backbone organization, a 501c3. We don't charge school districts for our services. Privately funded, and we're goal driven. We make it our business to make sure that we are seeking to understand the goals of principals, the challenges they have, and then church, business, and civic organizations are working collaboratively to see how we can work together to meet those goals. We are excited to be on the grow. We're in 7 school districts in the metropolitan, including 2 new school districts that we are hoping to partner in the fall. Until we get our new numbers, we're sitting at 87 schools that we're partnered in with 371 community organizations, 362, we are proud to say, are churches. We love that we are partnered with our business organizations, 103 of them, and 105 civic and nonprofit organizations. We always want to start with the question of how can we help you achieve your goals? There's so many challenges that our schools face, and we're excited to say that over 2,000 volunteers have been mobilized to help reach the goals of principals, and we are nearing $1 million in in-kind donations. So we thank you to all of our church partners and faith organizations, along with our business and civic organizations that are working so tirelessly to serve through school partnership. Recently, we had a mixed methods evaluation of caring for kids done by Dr. Amy Sherman, who is the senior fellow of the Sagamore Institute. We thought it was really important to just take a really quick snippet of what she learned. She gave surveys to our principals, their school liaisons, as well as community partners. And I wanted to bring out what we found, what she found when surveying churches. Very important information. But first, her key findings were that Caring for Kids has increased the number and longevity of community partners working with local schools. Over half of the principals surveyed credited Caring for Kids partners as having a very substantial influence in positive school culture and the climate of their school. 2/3 of the survey's principals agreed or strongly agreed that partnering activities have strengthened parent involvement in their schools. And we know how important it is for our parents to get involved in the lives of our children. So I want to say thank you to those of you who have been a part of that. And then 85% reported that partners have had or provided practical resources during economic stress for our families. And we know that over the last 2 years, we all have been in a lot of distress with the pandemic. And so once again, we just want to say thank you. Our congregational engagement has been really huge. And the key findings was number one for motivation. Congregations are joining because we're aligned with the missional cause. So we were birthed out of a prayer movement. That's very important for many of our churches to be a part of. An activity, 80% of the congregations had mobilized parishioners for hands-on involvement in the lives of children. And the greatest value is that we've been able to help open doors, help with organization and the coordination of your events and your goals that you're helping to meet by the different projects that you're taking part in. And we're helping you to gain more ideas on how to serve effectively. We don't want to just serve, we want to serve effectively. We want our resources to be used in a way that allow us to use the resources that we have in a way that will make a great impact in the community, but also help us to be a good steward of what we have. And the impact has multiplied. So when we're all working together collaboratively, we're able to have deeper impact and see our resources go further. And then finally, the biggest piece is that we've been able to move from transaction to relationship, which is huge. We love giving away backpacks, right? Everybody loves giving away baskets of food at Thanksgiving time. But what we really want to do is have a relational impact on our families that are in our community. So once again, I'd like to say thank you to our faith partners who have been a part of this, because this is the words that we're hearing from you, and it's the impact that's being made into the lives of our families that we serve all over the city. So you are more than welcome to give yourself a round of applause, but also we want to continue to engage new organizations. So as we make a shift, talking a little bit about all the different testimonials that we're hearing about impact, we have a actual testimonial from a minister who is partnered in Norfleet at Rivers Edge Fellowship right here in Raytown where I live. And he'd like to talk to you about how this has impacted him.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank the Lord for the privilege and the opportunity to be with you this evening. I also like to thank Ms. Portia Seals for placing it on her heart to let me participate in this event on this evening. Before I get started, I'd like to share a passage of scripture that the Lord has placed on my heart in regards to this opportunity tonight. And I'm going to look in Mark chapter 4, and I'm going to read verses 37 through 39 if you don't mind. And these words are recorded. It says, "A great windstorm arose, and the waves were beating over the boat, so that the boat was already being swamped. He was in the stern sleeping on the cushion. So they awoke him and said, "Teacher, do you not care that we're going to die?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, "Silence, be still." The wind ceased, and there was a great calm. Now, what I just shared with you is a story we've read time and time again in the Bible in regards to the disciples of the Lord being in a storm. And just on a play on word, the organization is called Caring for Kids. The disciples asked Jesus, "Do you not care that we are about to die?" My question on the table for you tonight or today, do you not care? Just as the disciples were involved in the storm, our kids of today, they are in a storm. Just like the disciples, they didn't do anything wrong to cause this storm. Our kids of today, they haven't done anything wrong but just try to be kids. And they are involved in a storm. It's not their fault, but the storm is here. And the disciples are screaming and asking Jesus, "Do you not care?" Our kids may not be screaming and saying it to us, but their actions and the things that they're dealing with is asking us, do we not care for our kids? Because they are in a storm. You think about all they lost just this last year and a half. Even before the last year and a half, they were in a storm. And then just going through this, they're in a storm. And it seems like many of the adults don't care. But I know I'm talking to some faith-based people, some people who care. Not only did the disciples ask Jesus, "Do he not care?" But it says, he got up and rebuked the wind and the sea. So basically, Jesus got involved in the situation that the disciples were in. Brothers and sisters, it's time for us to get involved in the storm that these kids are in. See, once we get involved, some of us can become a father to the fatherless kid. Some of us, once we get involved, we can become a mother to the motherless kid. When we get involved, we have an opportunity to see what's really going on in the lives of these kids because they're struggling. Some of them are really struggling. Some of them are struggling with reading and writing and math and all that, but you don't know it if you're on the sidelines. You only know that once you get involved in the game. And I'm not telling you something that I heard someone else say. I'm telling you because I've experienced it firsthand. Getting involved in the lives of kids, and I'm going home with this burden. I'm carrying this burden that I'm seeing these kids struggle with. And I'm talking to everybody I come across. What can we do? What can we do? Yes, we pray. Yes, we pray. But we got to get involved, brothers and sisters. Because if we don't get involved in these kids' lives, right here, right now, somewhere behind the pipeline, I do prison ministry. I may end up seeing some of these kids in the same prison because somebody didn't step in when they had an opportunity to get involved in the lives of these kids in their schools. So please, I'm begging you. And if I'm doing it, can you imagine what these kids are saying? So whether you're a pastor, some type of faith leader, whatever, the challenge on the table is, do you not care?
Good evening. My name is Phil Kryling. I have the privilege of serving as a leadership coach for this team. And I also recognize tonight what it is. I grew up with 11 sisters, and so I know what it is to be cut out by the ladies from all the cool designs or different things. They all got a great background. I'm just still in my office. So that's probably the best description for me, is always the kid that was left out. Well, all the others. Hey, tonight we're going to have a faith panel here, and we're going to do some discussion, some questions we've sent out to them. But we want your questions also. If you have other questions, please put them in the chat. They'll be getting those to us, and we'll take a look at those with the leaders as we have time a little bit later on. I want to first introduce to you Pastor Clint Hall. Clint's a good friend, Pastor Emeritus of Westbrook Church, involved with the Sending Project, but he's in partnership with Caring for Kids and schools, Brook Ridge Elementary and West Ridge Middle School in the Shawnee Mission School District. Clint, I'd like for you to share. You got about 5 minutes, buddy, on it all starts with us and what it is those to be partners growing in that partnership.
Well, thank you so much, Phil, and good evening, everyone. It's my privilege to share with you briefly the three topics that we're going to be discussing as a faith panel. And I've got other pastors that are going to follow me and faith leaders, and they're going to expand on each one of these topics. But the first topic is, again, like Phil said, it starts with us, and basically collaboration starts with us in the faith community. We need to be taking the initiative to engage in our schools and with others in our community. I've had the privilege of being a pastor in Overland Park for 36 years. And during that time, I've engaged with city leaders. I meet regularly with the police. I meet with pastors in Overland Park. Phil helps me lead the Overland Park Pastors Network. Portia's coming in a couple of weeks to speak at that luncheon about caring for kids. But it took Gary Schmitz and Nancy Mitchell and Terry Geenans to lay the groundwork and build the on-ramp for my church to get connected with the public schools in my neighborhood. 5 years ago, we connected with West Ridge Middle School, and the biggest middle school in Shawnee Mission with 900 students. To the east of us is Brook Ridge Elementary School, and it was all made possible. It was all started because some people in the faith community took the initiative. The second topic in progress, exciting things happen, men and women, when we partner as the faith community with schools. I've got so many stories that I have no time to share, but I'll share some of them. We get to serve it back to school events in both of these schools. And one time, Jeremy McDonald, the principal at West Ridge, said, "Clint, would your church be willing to partner with other churches and do a family enrichment night dinner?" And I said, "Well, Jeremy, how many people are we going to feed?" He said, 400. Now, folks, for a lot of people, they'd be intimidated, because you got to realize that 3 of the churches that we're partnered with are Methodist churches. And Methodist women and church dinners are legendary. I was raised a Methodist. I majored as a young person in potluck. So, folks, this was no big deal. And we also have a secret weapon at Westbrook, and her name is Mary Alley. Now, Mary Alley's a retired educator, but my goodness, for Mary to fix 400 pulled pork sandwiches is nothing at all. And so we partner together with LDK Lawn Services. They partner with us, and we put on these events. Now, not only do we get to spend some great time together, but we save the school money. And so those are just an example. And then, Jeremy said, would you help with a STEM meeting? I said, "Well, Jeremy, I was raised on the farm. Are we planting something?" He said, "No, Clint." He said, "You've been out of school way too long. It means we're talking about science and technology and engineering and math." And I said, "Okay." I said, "We can do that." And then and a year later, they changed it to STEAM. And I thought, well, they added the arts in there. I said, that's clever, because now it doesn't take much to add more onto that word. You can have steamed and steaming and steam driven. In other words, you can just expand that way on out as an acrostic. So those are some of the things we're involved in. Luke Weiss, the mission pastor over at City Center Church, is one of our heroes. Luke, every year, his church with our partners puts on the hashtag Give Hope at Thanksgiving. And last year, they served over 600 families in the Shawnee Mission District that had been identified by the social workers as somebody that could use hope. And they came in, and all the Thanksgiving items were provided for them, and clothing items. What a great event. And then also, we've provided new books for the teachers at West Ridge and at Brook Ridge, because we were partnered with Scholastic Book Fairs. Found out during the pandemic they moved to Jeff City, so that one's over. But then there's the mentoring and the people coming in to help teach kids to learn. Oh my goodness, what it's done for our church, and the partnerships we've had has been absolutely amazing. And then finally, the third topic that they'll be talking about in just a minute is serving to bridge the gap. When churches take the initiative to serve, it sends a message to the schools that we really do care. I had the privilege of teaching school in the metro before I became a pastor, so I can be on both sides of the equation. I've been an educator, and I'm a pastor, and I learned a long time ago with my congregants and with my students that they don't care what you know till they know that you care. That's something. All the knowledge I could accumulate doesn't mean anything as a pastor and an educator unless my students and my parishioners know, first of all, that I care about them. So, in conclusion, Westbrook Church is proud to be a part of Caring for Kids KC. We're looking forward to teaming up with Jeremy and Amy over at West Ridge again this year, school year. And I'm excited to meet Stephanie Witt, the new principal over at Brook Ridge. I just would tell her to just be sure to have the coffee pot on when we come over there so we can sit and drink coffee together. And so, again, we are partnered together with businesses and these churches, these wonderful churches, because we want to help the schools to realize that for every student that walks in those doors, we want them to have the opportunity to reach their true potential. So thank you, and God bless everyone.
Thanks, Clint. I want to introduce Yvette Richards to you, Director of Community Connections and Mission at St. James United Methodist Church. And she's involved in Caring for Kids partnerships at Ingalls Elementary in Hickman Mills and Martin Luther King Elementary in the Kansas City, Missouri School District. She's going to be talking about what are the benefits to the community of collaborating with others and what are the blessings we receive as faith leaders by collaborating with our community. Yvette, great to have you here tonight.
Thank you so very much. I'm excited to be here. Caring for Kids, what a heartbeat. I can just say, first of all, thank you to Terry. Terry's the one who contacted me when I first started at St. James and was like, are you attending our meeting? And I was like, what meeting is that? Meeting for Caring for Kids. I was hooked from attending the very first meeting because you have to understand the benefits for us at St. James United Methodist Church is that we have a saying, connecting people with God in practical ways. How do we do that? And one of the ways our pastor, Dr. Emmanuel Cleaver, has under my area is compassionate outreach. And so this aligns so much with what we do, what we believe, what we breathe at St. James. And so we're blessed to have 2 campuses. And so working with Ingalls Elementary School, that gives us an opportunity for a particular community, and also Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School. Now, Ingalls was in our back door, literally in our back door. We could look out of our parking lot when we were on Longview Road and figure out what they needed. And we could be right over there. And the kids were in the community. But with Martin Luther King Jr., their school is in our community, but they are bussed in. So we had to find ways, how do we connect? And so the benefit of having 2 schools is that we were able to spread love, resources further. And so one of the great benefits is having our members who at St. James are many retired educators, but also having our young people to the elderly feel that they could be involved in an organization, be compassionate outreach in many ways. And one of the benefits for us is that we see many of the students that attend these 2 schools attend our church. And a lot of the educators attend our church. And so we were able to not only uplift them individually, but uplift the school. And we did that, number one, by listening. A lot of time as organizations or churches, we want to go in and think we're going to be saving the day. But I can remember when Dr. Jones was at Martin Luther King, we sat down and my first thing is, what do you need? It is not our place to go in and give them what we want. We have to ask, what do they need? And when you get that wish list, you take it back to your committee and you start to find out, how can I ease the burden of the school? How can I take that pressure off the principal, the assistant principal, the parent liaison, so that the students are there just to learn? And a lot of times we know one of the benefits we know is not only the students that attend, but the family. You might have 2 or 3 students that attend that school, but who is taking care of the family at home when there's a crisis, when there's a need? So one of the benefits of being in partnership that we found at St. James is that we were able to be there for them in the excitement and joy for the first day, but also there when they had a student that was in the sixth grade that was killed by gunfire. The teachers were sad, the staff was sad. So what did we do? We went and just had a meal for them where they didn't have to worry about who's going to feed me. So you don't have to look at what is my big project I'm going to do for that school, but what are the individual needs? At Ingalls, it was teachers appreciation. Principal Moore is big on that. So how do we show the teachers that they are appreciated? So we partner and collaborate with our other organizations that sat around the table. Those were the benefits, not the benefit to us so much as St. James, because we got the benefit of serving God and our mission, connecting people with God in practical ways. So what were the practical ways we were able to do that? Well, we love doing back to school. We just did a back to school event for 2 weekends for both schools. The first day of school, being there, welcoming the students, letting the parents know that there's organizations there to support them all year long. We have had self-esteem projects, signing people up to be mentors. Educator Sunday, we just had Educator Sunday at our church where we celebrate the people from the front office to the cafeteria to the janitorial service to the bus drivers. Everyone plays a critical role. So what are the benefits? The benefits are that we get to engage, motivate, inspire, and be in fellowship with students and families that are not only in our community, but maybe also members, or maybe those that are looking in the only opportunity they have to have an opportunity to meet someone on a Christian journey. What are the blessings? Oh, the blessings that we have received at St. James have been numerous. We have been blessed because we get to see the smiling faces of the children on the first day of school, or when we get to attend Fun Day and you get to see the kids running around giving you high five, or our blessing is participating in family night. We have gone to the point where we have our ministries like our housing ministry to come on family night to figure out how can we help you move from your apartment, move from renting into purchasing your house, how to fix your credit, how to just move past the everyday things that might be burdening you. We've had opportunities to be blessed, to be in fellowship, to see like Dr. Jones. When we started, he was the principal. Now he's gone on and he is just moving up and moving out. Dr. Wilson is now in Texas. So we have been working with dedicated educators, and it all starts with listening, hearing what they need, and our group figuring out how can we bless you and how the blessings flow back on us at St. James, because that means that we get to do it all again. We get to be a compassionate community and working with others. We don't do it alone. We are blessed with Martin Luther King to have a wonderful 12-member group that does amazing things together, collaboratively, in partnership and networking. Everybody pitches in. So I'm just representing those two schools tonight, but the partnership is dynamic. It continues to grow. And so we're blessed at St. James because we have two schools where the principals, Connie Moore at Ingalls and Dana Abrams at King, are dedicated, awesome, because they're outside when the kids arrive. And you see that they're not sitting in the office. When I go to the school, I'm looking for them. They're not in the office. They're walking around in the building. They're engaging. So the blessing is that we have been invited to a special place where these children are our future, and we have a little part in letting them know that they're loved, they're valued, and they're cared for. And so I thank you, Caring for Kids, for allowing St. James to be a part and to utilize our members and the community to make Caring for Kids the heartbeat of our community. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Yvette. Next, we have Pastor Dennis Lester. Dennis is the lead pastor at Bethel Family Worship Center, involved in caring for kids partnerships at Ruskin High School, Hickman Mills District. Also, he leads the Because We Care initiatives in the Hickman Mills area. And along with him is Pastor Andrew Adudu. They're both going to share in this time. The outreach pastor at Graceway Church. They're involved in the Caring for Kids Network partnerships in Kansas City Public Schools and the Raytown Schools. And they're going to talk about the joy-filled blessings that receive whenever they lead through collaboration, how to avoid the mentality of scarcity versus abundance, and in the midst of this pandemic, how our church has served caring for kids. So, guys, take it away. Pastor Lester, why don't you go first, and then we'll bounce it back over to Andrew in just a moment.
All right, awesome. I see in our directives that we have about 6 minutes, so I'm going to do 5, and I'll leave Andrew 1 minute just to make sure that we're fair. So, I'm from the country, I'm from Georgia, so a minute for me is like an hour, so please bear with me. I just want to really quickly say thank you so much to Ms. Portia Seals for your leadership and your amazing staff, particularly to Terry, who has been our direct contact, partner, mother, mentor, advocate, and friend, and boss. Very bossy, but it has just been such a joy to be with Caring for Kids. And I'm going to try to talk as fast as I can to get through these 3 points. But the first one is, what are the joy-filled blessings of our congregations when we receive collaboration through each other? And I just want to say really quickly that collaboration has to have covenant. And covenant is an agreement that will set the terms for collaboration. And we decided in our group, I'm speaking more to our Because We Care initiative, we decided that we would instill what we call the 4 C's of our agreement, of our collaboration. And those 4 C's were: we won't compete, we don't compare, we don't complain, and we don't care who gets the credit. And that has been the bedrock of our success. It has caused us to have synergy. When we convened our group together, I made a statement to the group that all my life, I was peanut butter. And I could make smoothies, I could make cookies. You could take me and put me on celery and have a healthy snack, but I was always missing something. And then one day when we decided to collaborate, I found out that my partners around the table were jelly. I mean, before me, they were on biscuits, they were on toast, but it was something about our coming together. When we just merged together, we created a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Now, we all know that peanut butter and jelly has lasted the test of times. If it wasn't for peanut butter and jelly, none of us would have made it growing up. But we were peanut butter and jelly, and it just shows the synergy. And even as I look around this screen, I see some of my jelly partners, Pastor Wainwright, Pastor Zach, Pastor Steve, and Terry, that we just all came together and we just merged together. And to me, that was the joy-filled blessing of collaboration. And what it did was it led to our next point of being able to avoid the mentality of scarcity versus abundance, so that we can begin to build bridges with a joy-filled spirit. Now, I must say this, and I hope I'm not talking too fast. Scarcity is real. Scarcity is real, especially in the church. And if only the pastor, if everyone else, you guys just kind of just tune out for a second, I want to talk to the pastors only for a moment. If we keep it real, we are judged by our numbers. We are judged by our numbers. When I came to Kansas City and I told you I was going to pastor church, one of the first questions they asked me, and pastors, you know what this question is: how many members do you have over there in that church? How many members do you have in that church? And we're all judged by how many members. In the South, they say, how many you running, Doc? You know, and that's how you kind of judge. So if I say I have 20 members, oh, you're a failure. If I have 200 members, oh, okay. But you start getting to 2,000, 3,000. So we have, because that has been our measuring rod for success for so long, we've caused us to go into silos, and we rather just build something on our own because we're so afraid of scarcity. We're so afraid. But what I noticed in our context, I'll just give a quick example. In 2019, I came here in 2018, and in August, actually, I just celebrated 3 years. So thank God for that. I've officially given up my Falcons jersey, and now I'm officially a Chiefs fan now. So when we came in 2019, we had a back to school event where we had 200 people that came, and we thought we were on top of the world. Tara, I think you were there. We were on top of the world. But in 2020, we had to go from 200 people to 5,000. And we remember saying, how in the world are we going to do this? And I remember Pastor Wainwright's on the line. It wasn't that my church's budget grew. Pastor Zach knows it. It wasn't that we just had more people, but it was the collaboration that we had with the team, our Because We Care network, where we didn't compare, we didn't compete, we didn't complain, we didn't care who got the credit, and we came together. And this year we have the same goal. We've done Christmas together, we've done back to school. This year we're doing back to school, Thanksgiving, and Christmas together. And all I can think of is it's because of our willingness to collaborate. Think about this. Jesus fed the 5,000 through collaboration. Who did he collaborate with? He collaborated with this little lad that brought his lunch. Now, Jesus could have, he could have turned the stones into bread if he wanted to, but he had collaboration. And oftentimes, some of us are the miracle workers, and others of us bring our little lunch to the table, but together we're able to do great things for the kingdom and great things for God. So I just want to end with that and say, in the midst of the pandemic, our church is served through, prayer support and teacher and staff appreciation, anything we can do to help the school. But just want to leave that with you all. Collaboration. Pastors, don't worry about the numbers. Whoever God wants to come to your church through these events, he'll send them. The Bible says that the Lord added daily to the church, not the pastor, but the Lord, he adds to the church those who are being saved. So blessings to you. Sorry, Pastor Dudu, I hope I didn't take all your time.
Hey, that's okay. You're saying some great nuggets, Pastor Dennis. Thank you so much. And Portia and everyone on the call, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I will try and make it very short and straight to the point. The first thing that I want to say is so I lead with this mindset. Well, by the way, I'm from Nigeria by way of India and Malaysia. I'm not going to tell you guys my story, but I would love to really share who I am first before I share what I do. One of the things that I normally lead with is I subconsciously, I tell myself that there's always someone out there who can do it better, faster, and even more smarter than I. And what that does for me is it sets me in a place of teachability. I just become susceptible to want to be taught, to be a student. I want to tell you guys a short story in 60 seconds. So in 2017, I was at a conference in Kenya, and Pastor Larry Stockstill, he is the president of a church planting network called Surge Network. And it's a church planting model that is based on mentorship and multiplication. So this man has over 4 decades of experience, because he has actually mentored pastors not just in the West, but also in different parts of the world. So there in Kenya, there were people from different nations represented. And there's something that he said, I think I would love to leave with us. He said, fellowship with all, partner with some. And what he meant by that, he said, partner with those who have your values and share your value for synergy. And the way he kind of illustrated it, he gave an example of Belgian horses. So and Belgian horses are the strongest horses in the world. He said one Belgian horse can pull 4,000 tons of weight. 2 can pull 8,000. So there's a multiplication. However, 2 Belgian horses who know each other can carry 12,000. I'll let that simmer for a little bit. 1 pulls 4,000, 2 pulls 8, but 2 who know each other, they can pull or carry 12,000 tons of weight. He said 2 who are friends all their life can carry 25,000. That is a picture of synergy. This thing that we're all talking about, where we're moving from transactional to transformational, it occurs as a result of getting to know each other, being in each other's shoe. Everyone has said it. There is empathy. You're seeing yourself from the perspective of the customer. That's the first principle when it comes to design thinking. You want to meet people where they are. You want to sit in the dirt with them. It's the heart of Christ. That is what we carry, everyone here. I mean, I'm the youngest here, but I'm still learning. I don't know much. And I've told Portia when I met her, I said, I need to be in this network. I told Pastor Clint, I need to meet people in the city. I'm new to this thing, but I know that the way we're going to bear this burden is by clocking hands together. All right. That's what I have to share. There's more to talk, but I know we're running out of time. Thank you so much for letting me share.
Hey, thank you, guys. I want to quickly introduce Pastor Zach Nicholson. Zach is with IHOP KC, pastors there. They work at Compass and Warford Elementary in the Hickman Mills School District, Grandview Middle School, Grandview High School, Meadowmere, and Highgrove Elementary. So the only thing, Zach does everything besides be mayor there in Grandview. The guy takes care of everything. And then I also want to introduce Megan Layton. She's the Community and Global Partnership Coordinator at Colonial Presbyterian Church's South KC campus. She is Colonial's organizational champion for the Boone and Indian Creek Elementary School partnerships in the Center School District. And she also serves Frontier Trail Middle School Partnership in the Olathe School District. So Zach and you have your questions there. They're going to be talking about the obstacles and roadblocks that prevent church partners from building bridges. And what would you like to see happen amongst the churches in the city regarding community engagement? So Zach, we're going to let ladies go first actually on this one. So McGann, take it away.
All right, thank you. I don't have a sermon ready for you. You all are giving out sermons tonight. I did not prepare one, but I will share with you what we have learned and some of the obstacles and roadblocks that we have encountered in our working with the schools. Bridges to me are relationships. We've been talking about that tonight, and if you don't know the other person, you don't know the schools, that's obviously an obstacle. And that's where Caring for Kids has been super helpful, because churches and schools, we have a lot of the same goals and the same desires to help families and students, but we don't run in the same circles. So it's awesome that Caring for Kids allows that to happen, allows us to meet those partners and get to know them and to build those relationships. One of our obstacles that we have encountered is just our own self-centeredness. I know for our church, the two schools that we partner with are not necessarily where my kids have gone to school or others in our congregation. So it's easy to say, well, that's not my kid. I'm pouring into these schools over here. So just a little selfishness and looking out for our own is an obstacle we have to overcome. And then another biggie is the makeup of our church versus the makeup of the schools that we're partnering with. And just right off the bat, the racial makeup as well as the socio economic makeup is different between those two. That is an obstacle, but it's also a huge opportunity, because in order to build those bridges, we've got to know somebody who is other and different from ourselves. So I appreciate that aspect of these partnerships as well, because we get to know people from other races, other cultures, other backgrounds through the work that we do with them. So those are some of the obstacles and opportunities. And then the other question, what do I want to see happen among churches in our city regarding community engagement? I would love to see, there's plenty of churches, and I think a lot of them on here are already doing this, getting out of our church buildings, getting away from being inwardly focused on taking care of ourselves and our own congregation, and looking out to our communities and reaching out to our communities and seeing, again, that the big question, what can we do to help? Ultimately, I would love for our churches to be known more for what we are for. than what we are against. Everybody already knows what we are against. They hear that over and over. So I would love for our communities, for all of our churches to be involved in our schools so that the communities can see what we are for. We are for the families, we are for the students, we are for the staff, and making a difference in these kids' lives. So.
All right, well, I'll just go ahead and jump right in there. My name is Zach Nicholson from International House of Prayer here in Kansas City. And the first question is, why should churches partner with schools? I would like to answer that personally for myself, just to start out with. I have met the most amazing people in the past 4 or 5 years that we have partnered, whether it's Portia or even Phil, going to a baseball game with him a couple of years ago, or Nicole Hodge here, or even the principals, Erica Edwards, Erica Horde, I see that she's on here, hanging out with Dr. Rodriguez from the Grandview superintendent. Like, I just met so many amazing, awesome people, and not to mention Pastor Lester. We have to throw Pastor Lester in there. But I've met so many amazing people, and it just really provokes me in my walk with the Lord and just their servant heart. And that is one of the great benefits that I personally get out of it. So why should churches partner with schools? I boiled it down to 3 quick reasons. There's about 100 of them, but I'm just going to give you these 3. The first one is the Bible is extremely clear that we're commanded to go out and serve our communities, to be a blessing to our communities. The greatest among us will be your servant. So just in order to fulfill the scriptures, we've got to go engage and serve in our communities. So I think that's the chief and primary reason. But the other 2 would be our congregation's just involvement in the community. We feel so much more connected to just the schools, but also the community over the last 3 or 4 years with the different volunteers that's been able to go in and interact with the kids and the schools. It's really fun to see some of the kids that you mentor or do a Bible club with at the grocery store, or maybe they're running around the neighborhood. You would never have made those connections with those children or their families if you weren't in the school serving. And it's just a great opportunity to be more involved in our communities. And I would say the last one, the third one, is a lot of our volunteers are able to activate their gifts and some of their interests. I would say a good portion of our people are retired or are able to work part-time, so they have a little bit of time on their hands. And especially the retired ones, they have so much life experience and just so many amazing talents to pour out. And a lot of them are really looking for ways to serve and to be activated, to still feel useful. So to me, it's just a great opportunity even to get those retired folks out there to be a blessing to their community. And like I said, so many have such great life experiences. They're able to pour that into the children that they interact with. As for the obstacles or the roadblocks, I would say that the roadblocks are mostly with our own churches. The fact that every school that we've been involved with has welcomed us with open arms. So the roadblocks is not necessarily on the school's end. They are wide open, ready for us to partner with them. It's really just the lack of knowledge about the need in our local communities, just needing to raise more awareness, even of what Caring for Kids does, that the roadblocks really are just the lack of awareness and the opportunities out there. Like I said, we've been welcomed with open arms in each school that we've worked with. So I would say the roadblocks are definitely on the church's end. And then finally, what would you like to see happen among the churches in our city regarding community engagement? I would say this one is really simple. I would like to see every local church in the Kansas City area adopt their local school. Whatever school is in your backyard, just simply go and serve and adopt that school and just be a blessing. There's countless ways to be a part of that, whether it's the teacher appreciations or the back to school events that we've heard so much about before, or the tutoring, mentoring. There's just infinite amounts of opportunities. So I would just love to see every local church adopt their local school right in their own backyard. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Phil.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks, McGann. Hey, we're going to punt on the Q&A for a little while. I want to get into time with our educators and all here, and so excited to have them here with us tonight. I do want to read one statement ending here. Pastor Edwards put out, and we really like this. He says, if we really want to have safe cities in every zip code, then every faith leader, pastor, congregation needs to connect with Caring for Kids. All you need to do is start where you are, use what you have, and do all you can do. And I think that summarizes if wants to know what they need to do. I think Pastor Edwards tapped it well. It's my privilege to introduce to you Dr. Kenny Rodriguez, and Dr. Rodriguez is in the Grandview School District, and we've enjoyed the partnership with him over the last few years and his leadership there. And so, Dr. Rodriguez, if you'd go ahead and take your time to share there on the topics you've been given.
Sure. Well, I'll just say thanks for having us, and certainly appreciate the partnership that we have, and good to see Zach. And hadn't seen you a little bit in person, but I'm sure that we will. And again, just I'll share a little bit just about kind of the same thing that I shared with the staff today. And just it's been a good day of reflection for us as our staff return today and thinking about the school year. And first of all, it's just great to be in front of a group like this. Being a person who was raised in a Christian home and everything, as soon as I've come into district leadership, we really come to partner and value the partnership with our faith-based organizations. It's one of the first things when I was in Grandview that I reached out to. It was amazing to be able to meet with the pastors in Grandview and immediately start talking about ways that we could partner, and just trying to make sure that I kept in front of them, and then to be able to feel the power from them as well in the prayers, and just being uplifted back and forth is certainly something that we value. Caring for Kids was able to bring some things together for us that we desperately needed in terms of organization, and to really put those kind of partnerships in place. And what I shared again with the staff today is, I mean, we can't do this by ourselves. We just can't. I mean, we're asked to do more now than ever before. And I promise you, I've got an amazing staff that is working incredibly hard and doing some amazing things, but there's just no way that we can do it by ourselves. And we shouldn't have to. And that's the amazing thing about our partnership, is to be able to have individuals and organizations that are willing to stand with us toe to toe, and to make sure that they are there to help support us. So just like I've been asking my administrative team, and I've told our staff we're going to be asking them, what do you need? What do you need to be successful with our students this year? That's one of the biggest things that I always appreciate from Caring for Kids, is coming to us and asking us that question. And truthfully, I think it's one of the hardest questions for sometimes our principals to answer, and they're not great at it sometimes. And so we work with them. That's like, think about what you really need and how you can leverage your partners to make sure they are giving you exactly what you need to show that support. But I can promise you that our staff feel the support from the community and have felt that over the course, especially over the last year. Certainly, we did a lot of things to reach out to our community, but when I really look at the trust between our district and the organization, I think that was the biggest piece, is that all of us coming to the table at the same time, all of us doing what we say we're going to do. And that's what builds trust, is all of us coming together, working together, and doing what we say we're going to do. So I always appreciate that about Caring for Kids, and certainly the individuals. And it's more than just the organization; it's those individuals that are coming to our table and coming to the schools and asking us the same thing that we're asking internally: is what do you need? What do you need to make sure that you're able to be successful with our students? Because we have to move forward. I told my staff this morning that we will not use this year as an asterisk year. Like, we can't say, well, this is why we really weren't able to kind of show what we were hoping to be able to do with our kids and everything. It's pandemic and it's this, and we're still kind of dealing with all that, folks. We know all that now. So now we can't use that as an excuse. There is no asterisk. Our kids are coming to us starting less than a week away now. And they're not going to be looking for excuses. They're going to be looking for us to answer the call and to rise up and make sure that we're able to rise up and meet that need. We need everybody. I need everybody praying. I need everybody coming together and trying to make sure that we're doing what we can to meet our students' needs, because there are a lot of needs. We don't even know some of the needs that are out there. We're going to have kids coming to us in less than a week that may not have stepped foot in a school in over a year. They may not even been in a school period for over a year. We know that there are students that haven't been enrolled, that just didn't do school over the last year. So we're going to be seeing them, and again, we're going to show gains. One of the things that I saw was sustaining great results, and that's basically what I told my staff today. So, folks, we're making gains the next 2 years. Our students are going to show growth the next 2 years. But the number one thing I told them was the only way that that's going to happen is if we work together. And so, again, that means inside. So I heard some of those thoughts and some of those things already that many of you were saying. We can't work against each other. We've got to partner together and work together. So that's internally and externally. We have to work with our community partners and make sure that we are showing that that this is what we need and that we're partnering together and providing that access. So I appreciate, Zach, you saying what you did. I think sometimes we are the problem, though. I think sometimes we do not necessarily always open our doors because we're busy. And I'm not saying that it's because people are just doing that, but they get busy, but they're not understanding that you have to open your door. Like the value that you're going to receive by doing that, it's going to bless you many times over. And you have to make sure that you're making time for that because these partnerships are what's going to make that happen. So again, I appreciate the partnership and it means so much to me. It means so much to my school district. So much to our kids and to our staff. We desperately need it. We've got amazing community partners, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. Now we're going to jump across the state line and welcome our newest superintendent, Dr. Anna Stubblefield at the Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. I have not had a chance to meet her in person yet. I know some of the other team has, but I have a number of friends that work and teach there, and they're excited. So you're starting with a lot of excitement by people, and we're excited to have you here tonight, Dr. Stubblefield. Would you share a question we gave to her was really what are the current challenges that districts are facing? We know there's a lot of things going on, a lot of need, but that's her question. Again, Dr. Stubblefield, welcome back to Kansas City. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate being invited and joining this group. And I appreciate, like Dr. Rodriguez said, all of the prayers that you all send out to cover our students and our staff and our families. And from my perspective, one of the greater challenges that we're facing as a district is really meeting the needs of the families and the students that we serve. I think someone said it earlier, as educators, we come in and we want to solve things and we have our ideas of how to fix things. And I think it's important for us to really connect and understand what the family needs and what our students needs. And we also face the challenge of several of our students. We want everyone to have a caring adult within the school building, but it's also important for them to have a caring adult and a mentor outside of the school building because our students can't have enough advocates or enough adults who have their best interests at heart in order for us to engage them in learning, in order for them to be able to advocate for themselves in the classrooms. Because when I look at, and I'll keep it personal, local, and immediate with Kansas City, Kansas, when I look at our student performance, and academic performance is only one measure, but also our student engagement. A lot of the things that we've been doing for a long time are not working for a majority of our students. So we, as educators, I think it's important for us really to listen to our students and our families and to engage them. And sometimes that's where those like organizations like yours and mentors outside of the school can help us to gain a better understanding of what we need to do differently in education, especially during these trying times of a pandemic, when the mental health of our students and staff are being tested daily.
Thank you, Dr. Stubblefield. Next, we're going to talk about developing trust between the district and the community. And we have two leaders who have been with us a long time. As they've moved around, they've taken caring for kids with them everywhere they've gone. First is Dr. Jarius Jones. He's the newly appointed HR Director of Classified Personnel for the Shawnee Mission School District. He was instrumental in bringing the community into Caring for Kids Partnerships in schools where he previously led as principal. They were the Center Middle School most recently, Martin Luther King Junior Elementary School in Kansas City Public Schools. And then I also want to introduce Mike Brewer. Mike is principal at Lenexa Hills Elementary in Shawnee Mission, has been involved caring for kids partnerships since 2014 at Broken Arrow when he's a principal there. And so, Dr. Jones, Mike, it's great to see you all. And go ahead and Dr. Jones, you start first. Questions you have over there.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate this space. You are so right. I've had the pleasure and the honor of serving at 2 schools that embraced caring for kids. And I use that word embrace because it's key. I found out sometimes my colleagues are not as accepting and receptive to having visitors or individuals from the outside coming in. And I remember Ms. Portia Seals and I talking about this years ago, that some people just don't want to let go of the reins. But I found that having extra set of eyes, extra set of ears, brains, and resources, who could ever say no? Well, there are people who do say no and who do not, who may be resistant. And sometimes the resistance is a result of past relationships where they did not feel like people followed through. Follow through is huge. And I've been blessed to have dozens of organizations at both locations that I served who stepped up and said, not only do we want to be a partner, but we want you to tell us what you need. I appreciated the fact that St. James and future Dr. Yvette Richards, that she came to us and she did say, what do you need from us? And out of there, they were able to share what they could do for us. We know that everybody cannot do everything, but if you take a portion of the needs that the schools have, if you, this school may need, certain objects, this school may need human capital, this school may need your time. That's all they may need is time from you and from your congregants. They may need mentors from your congregants. They may need financial support. They may need you to come and be a face to welcome the scholars as they come to school, or to walk the halls. Now, I know because of the last couple of years, the situation that we're in with the pandemic, that we've not invited the outside in to our buildings for safety reasons. But there are other ways that you can welcome and let the people know that you care. I remember this, and I'm going to be very brief. I remember this in my year at King, my first year. I remember when Sister Richards, Dr. Richards was coming in, and they were saying they wanted to do things for our building. And then I had some others that said they wanted to do things for our building. And they were treating our staff and our students to a lot of great opportunities. And I remember some teachers saying, why are they doing this for us? I said, what do you mean? Why not do it for people who serve in the greatest profession ever? And they felt like, well, we're not good enough to do that. And I said, well, doggone it, you are good enough. If I'm here, I wouldn't choose to be in a place that I didn't think that there was hope and that there was promise. And so the actions, the kind gestures of doing something nice, providing something nice to our staff, really made them get out of a mindset, a deficit mindset, and start appreciating and start feeling as though they were appreciated, because people were following through. People were showing that they actually cared. As I said a moment ago, it doesn't take you to do everything. And there are some organizations that will tell you, this is what we're here for. This is what we will do. This is the stretch of our ministry. This is what we want to do. One ministry came in at the tail end, and they provided Worlds of Fun tickets for our students. Some of our people didn't believe it would ever happen, but it did. And Caring for Kids was able to broker that relationship. They were able to have the meetings, or to align the meetings for us, so that we could speak directly to our partners, share our goals, share the things that we aspire to do, the dreams. I always said that I wanted whatever I served to become an oasis of learning and innovation. And however they could help support us reach that endeavor, I wanted them all in. And so individuals, companies, organizations, they came together and they provided that for us. What I'm saying to you is that if you're really committed to being a partner, if you're committed to really seeing this grow, to seeing our scholars endeavor to goals and to aspirations that may be out of this world, literally and figuratively, it may be out of this world, your time, your commitment, your dedication is key. If you say that you're going to do it. Step up and do it. If you can't do it, let them know that you can't do it, but don't be a shadow. I say that the commitment and being a part of those routine, those regularly scheduled meetings and events, it's going to be key in having a lasting relationship. I will cut that off. Hopefully, I addressed the question that I was to address, and if I didn't, count it to my head, not my heart.
Mike?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jones. Welcome to Shawnee Mission. Also, Anna Stubblefield, I want to say thank you for letting David join our team here. I think David is your husband. He's always saying, I'm known as Anna Stubblefield's husband. And so anyway, he always speaks highly of you. So thank you, first of all, for everybody who is a part of this call, and also just anybody who's a part of Caring for Kids, and really anybody who just has a heart to help young people. As I think about my journey, this is my 34th year in education. I think about just what Dr. Rodriguez said. We can't do this alone. I was in Liberty for 27 years. Nancy and I raised our 4 children here, and then I retired. I was last 10 years in central office, and I know my heart is for the building, and that's just how I am. And when I came to Shawnee Mission, Corinth was open as an opportunity, and I told them, I want to serve where the need is the greatest, and I ended up in a title school, Broken Arrow Elementary School, and I realized at that point, because I'd never been a part of a title school, how much it takes to take care of schools, all schools, but especially title schools, where there's real need. So I talked to Chris Wynn. Some of you might know Chris Wynn, Community Life Church, and he and I started kind of networking with Terry Geenans through Caring for Kids, and basically, so I'll just tell you what, from a principal's perspective, what we need from Caring for Kids, and that's knowing that the building is the crossroads of crisis, where crisis is evident, where it's seen in real life. And right there, that's where we need all the caring adults to kind of come together and figure out what need is there and how can we meet it. Just an example. Here's a real life example. I told this example on film, and they could never use it because I was crying too much. but I think I'll get through this without crying. I had a single mom come into Broken Arrow, and she was trying to enroll her kids, and she was overwhelmed. And so I could just see her hands were in her face was in her hands, and she was just down, and I just went in and talked to her, and she just let me know how hard her life was being right then. She'd moved from like Topeka to Lenexa, or to Shawnee in the Broken Arrow area. And she thought she had a job, and it didn't pan out. And she had 4 kids, and she was trying to get them enrolled. She was totally overwhelmed financially, in all aspects, emotionally. Her husband was no longer in the picture. So I just called Chris Wynn, and Chris Wynn connected with our Caring for Kids team. And between Community Life Church and Crossroads Church, that night they had people putting her kids' beds together, had a meal coming to the house. And that's an example of just networking in one person's life to bless them. And so that happens over and over. And that story goes on, but I'll just share that was a blessing, not only to that mom who was in crisis, but also to my secretaries who saw it, my teachers who heard it, those kids, And so that's just one example. So I think as you consider the needs for the coming year, how can the community provide real and innovative support? We're in a real unique, we are in a really unique challenge right now. So figuring out creative ways for meeting kids' needs, like outdoor service events, like we're shorthanded, and Dr. Jones knows this. We're shorthanded with custodians, and we're shorthanded with maintenance workers. So how could we help our custodian weed the landscaping, just to take that off his plate or her plate? Because it's overwhelming what we need to do to make sure the school looks really nice for our kids so they can be proud of where they're going to school. So that's just a real life example. There's so many other things, like Westside Family Church and Bridgeway Church put in 16 gardens in one day for my students. And a lot of my students come from apartment complexes. They never get to see gardens. They don't get to see plants grow from seed or seedling to being able to go out there and pick tomatoes and eat them. I mean, that's been so cool. And that's just another example. But somebody said this, and I really like this: how can we build trust? The pastor or associate pastor from St. James said, listen, just listen for needs, because they'll become evident if you'll listen and hopefully connect with an adult. It doesn't have to be the principal, somebody who knows the needs of that school, and hopefully it is the principal. But just listen for their needs and then find ways to engage. Watch the PTA page and see what they're doing, and then actively just join in with what the PTA is doing, because the PTAs are working, and then you can partner with. That's how we do it at Lenexa Hills. So I moved from Broken Arrow to Lenexa Hills, and we did it at Broken Arrow too, where we just connect the PTA and the Caring for Kids team, and that just creates synergy. Where 1 + 1, and a pastor said this: 1 + 1 = 4, instead of 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah, just looking for things, and then just finding ways to encourage the adults, because education is tough. I came from Liberty, where we didn't really have a title school. I had no idea how hard it is to meet the needs of kids in schools where there's lots of needs. All kids need us, but sometimes it feels overwhelming if you have so many needs that you feel overwhelmed and overrun with needs. So Caring for Kids helps us not feel overwhelmed. So thank you, Terry Geenans. Thank you to all the caring adults for all you do. You guys are awesome. We could not do this without your help, and just appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Brewer. Last, I want to introduce to you tonight Sue Herrera, principal at Truman Elementary in the Hickman Mills School District. Her 5th year that she's been involved with the Caring for Kids network, and she's going to talk about what makes for a successful partnership and what leads to self-sustainability. That's the important thing we want, is to sustain the great results that we've had, and that the Sagamore Institute even found and talked about. So, Principal Herrera.
Good evening. Thank you for having me, Terry. Thanks for inviting me. It is always a joy to talk about our Caring for Kids partners. We've had many actually, I'm starting our 6th year in Caring for Kids. We've had many partners over the years, Pastor Wainwright, Pastor Allen, Walgreens. But the partner that has been with us for 6 years is Pastor Steve Williams and his church, St. Luke's United Methodist. And I really grappled with what is the answer to this sustainability question. And what I have landed upon is that they are more to us than just goodies and treat bags. They are part of our leadership team. They know our vision. They know our mission. They know that we're trying to improve attendance. They know what the discipline numbers were. They saw where we started in 2016, and they know where we are right now. And so they celebrate every single success with us. They've watched attendance improve because of the things that they've done for us, like mentoring students who don't want to come to school. Kids will come to see their mentor because their mentor's going to eat lunch with them. popcorn day where they're going to come and pop popcorn for the whole building and then sit down and read with the kids, coming for read and treat night. I really could go on and on and on for 6 years of things that they've done to help us improve attendance. They also participate in our after school clubs. And so the kids are used to seeing our Caring for Kids partners from St. Luke's United Methodist because they're always at Truman. They're just part of us. And we started with the mantra that if our adults are okay, our kids are okay. And so we took care of the adults first. I told Pastor Steve it was very important to me that our teachers felt honored and appreciated and that they knew that they had a support system. And so we're coming on our 6th year where St. Luke's will come in this Wednesday and they will bring custom gift bags. There's the gift bag. I know I said it's more than that, but that's how it started, with the gift bag that the teachers all look for, with the smelly markers that are expensive and the handcrafted little face mask. It'll be 2 years in a row because I'm theme driven. I have a theme every year. And so they make the little logo and then they'll serve ice cream to the staff. And they offer to pray with the teachers if they want it. That's the kind of relationship that we have. It's sustainable because we're honest with each other. We've had I've counted as I was sitting here, close to 50 meetings. We meet every month and they're honest with us. If they can't do something, they say they can't do it. But if they say they're going to do it, they exceed our expectations. When we started with trauma-informed care and we wanted to be able to talk about self-care, I mentioned offhandedly that it might be nice if we had a Zen den in the teacher's lounge. The next day, Pastor Steve shows up and he creates a Zen den in the teacher's lounge. So that's the sort of relationship that we have. One example I want to leave with you about how partners at the table can really listen. They may not have a solution, but they can listen and then go back to their congregation and say, here's what I heard from the principal and the lead team. I had mentioned that it was concerning to me that one of our playgrounds that doesn't get utilized very often, because we have some very nice playgrounds, but one of the playgrounds that doesn't get utilized very often was missing basketball nets and the backboards were not very nice and there was a lot of weeds, and that was a bummer to me. 2 days later, the men from the church are up there and they're hanging nets and they're painting the backboards. So sorry. It's just so unexpected. And so as a principal and a woman of faith, to me, that's God. To know that they see us and that they love us and that we succeed because of them. Terry, you do this to me every time. You make me talk and then I cry. Darn it. St. Luke's has held church in Truman before they had their congregation like 40 years ago. And I attended Truman Elementary as a child, and now I am the principal. And I remember as a child, I would go to St. Luke's for Bible school. So our sustainability has a lot more to do with I'm probably where God wants me to be. And Pastor Steve is helping us steward the vision. So I don't know if I answered the question, but I really feel like it's prayer and testimony service right now, and I've just borne my soul. So thank you.
Thank you, Principal Herrera. Yeah, I love the stories. As I say, I've always appreciated the stories that we've heard over the last 8 years. But then when it was backed up by the Sagamore Institute with the metrics, that was just incredible to see both sides with. But tonight it is 7:21, and we're not going to prolong this time. We're not going to go to the breakout rooms. Portia and I were just chatting back and forth, but we would like to ask more thing of our Dr. Rodriguez, Dr. Stubblefield, Dr. Jones, Principal Brewer, Principal Herrera. If you looked at those other questions others answered, if you'd like to add anything tonight that would speak to the faith community and about that fact of you're needed and you're wanted, you got 4 or 5 minutes to do it. I mean, all of you don't have to take all of it in there, but we'd love to hear a little bit more from that. We're just one big breakout group now. We've got 27 people here. There's no reason we need to go be individuals. So, Dr. Rodriguez, you're unmuted. You ready to go?
I was just going to say, don't stop. I mean, don't stop asking. Don't stop praying. Don't stop coming to the table. Even if somebody, like I said, may turn it down for a second, please don't stop. I guarantee you, they're turning it down for not necessarily a good reason. Just sometimes they're busy, or they're just not thinking about what amazing partnerships that sometimes these things could be. So, don't ever be discouraged by that turning it down. I know several of you on this call, and I know none of you are discouraged. Portia doesn't take no for an answer anyway, so I don't ever worry about that. But don't ever stop. Don't ever stop praying for us. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of. I told my staff public education's under attack, more so right now than ever before, and there are people that are actively out there that want to see us fail. And so, we're going to show them how good we can be, and we're going to show them how successful that we can be. But if we're out front and we're the ones doing that, there's going to be a whole bunch of people standing behind us, lifting us up, and supporting us. So I appreciate that. So I just say, don't stop. Please don't stop doing that. We need it.
Thank you for that encouragement, Dr. Rodriguez. I think there's an old verse that says that you have not because you ask not, and I've always believed that goes both ways. That's it. Any others for our administrators that'd like one encouraging comment or something you'd like to share? Dr. Jones, you're unmuted.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I reiterate to what my brother just said a moment ago. We are under attack, and because of that, we need prayer. Evangel Church, when I was in the Center School District, they were their longtime community partner of the district, period. But one individual reached out to me. I got a chance to speak at the church and say something about what we were doing in the video. And that person reached out to me and would speak to me each year about, and throughout the year, about what it is that we needed prayer for. What were the concerns? And everybody may not be Bible believing a Christian that serves at the leadership capacity. That's fine. There are others who need the prayer, and they need the prayer too. They may not know it, may not acknowledge it, but they need the prayer. And if you can do that, and you take time to just call out those schools' names, and you reach out and you ask, what can we put on the heart of our people? I think it would make, in fact, no, I won't say think, I know it will make a difference. And continue to reach out to not only those schools, but to those districts and see what the needs are. I just put something and shamelessly put out there that we're still looking for non-teaching positions in our school district. And that's probably the same for others: paraprofessionals, educational aides, custodians, food service, people who can serve for 4 hours. So they can give 4 hours of their time doing food service. It doesn't pay a whole lot of money, but boy, we are feeding the future. We're feeding kids and taking care of kids and providing educational services to scholars who don't have anywhere else to go but to us. And so thank you so much for continuing to be a part of our lives, being present, being vocal, being helpful, being supportive. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Mike, I see you unmuted. Got something to share.
Yeah, I would just add that we all have to remember that we are in the business of saving lives in schools. I mean, truly, we are the only hope for some kids. And so we have to pull together. I mean, it's a moral imperative that we do it. And it's all privilege. It's actually a real privilege to be able to invest our lives into the lives of young people. So thank you so much for doing that and for partnering with us as we do hard work. I mean, this is really, really difficult work, but it's very fulfilling. And when projects come together, it's a cool testament to what can happen when caring adults link their hearts. Okay. The only thing I'll also say is if you need a backup tambourine player, Dr. Jones is amazing. He welcomed our new teachers with the tambourine, and he's awesome. He's amazing.
All right. Sue?
You know that Dr. Rodriguez plays the drums, I think. So maybe you could form a little band here, possibly. I don't know. I just want to say, don't give up as church leaders on the schools. If we're not receptive or we can't pinpoint what we need, stick with us because we always need prayer. We're always trying to bridge that gap between home and the school and the community. And so we have to have community. We have to have those wraparound services. So thank you and stay the course.
Thank you. Dr. Stubblefield.
And I was just going to echo what Sue said. Like, I don't know what I don't know because I'm new to a district. So if you hear some no's or encounter some barriers, please reach out and I'll help to navigate as much as I can. But I do really appreciate the support, the prayers, and you all reaching out. Caring for Kids were some of the first people I met before I even transitioned to my new position. So I really appreciate that and appreciate the connection and appreciate you being there to support our students that we serve and as well as our staff. So thank you.
Thank you. Portia, I'm going to turn it back to you to finish up the night. Thank you for all you do as a leader of our team.
Thank you, Phil. Phil, just want to start by saying thank you to you. You are the moderator. I don't know that we found one better. We appreciate all that you do and all the commitment that you have to caring for kids, to this city, and to serving other pastors in leadership. Want to say thank you to each and every one of you for joining us tonight. Special thank you to all of our panelists. It is important for us to hear from you. As community leaders, we think we know. As we talked about tonight, we hope we know. We hope we're keeping a great pulse on our community, but we have to ask you, how can we help? How can we help? We want to lift up your hands, your arms, your heart, lift you up in prayer. Be the support that you need, because you absolutely have one of the most important jobs in the world, helping to prepare our students to impact the world. If you're here and you have not joined a school partnership, I'm sure you have taken the charge, have heard the charge. Don't be shy. Reach out to us on our website. We love to hear from you. We love to connect you with the school principal, much like some of these great leaders that we've had tonight. And you'd meet some amazing partners around the table like we've experienced tonight. Let's get ready. School years are starting or they have just began, and we have lots of work to do. If you guys can see, I have a round face. And so every time I look at a little kid, I always say they're little round faces. Think about myself and putting myself in the story and people helping me when I was a kid and the best teachers in the world. And so when you think about how you can be involved, think about your little round face. Think about the face of your children, your church members, your neighbors, and get involved. We're so grateful that you guys took the time to spend an hour and a half with us. We didn't need the breakouts. You guys were amazing. You answered every question, and I don't think there's anything left on the table right now. I want to invite you to have a great night. Keep watching on your emails. We got kickoffs happening. We're going to have some celebrations in all of our school districts, all kinds of trainings and things like that. But we appreciate all the blood, sweat, and tears that you all put into the lives of children, and you will reap a great reward, I believe. Have a great night. God bless.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.